So into the pit lane was the car we were hoping to see out after its problems earlier on. It looks as though Rick Wood is bringing the car in towards the pit lane as we're about to get things underway.
Yes, that's a shame. We were really hoping that that would be out on track. So we've got the cars coming through Club Corner to start this 40-minute race with the mandatory pit stop, same arrangements as we've seen already, and out onto the pit straight they come. The lights waiting, still on red. When the lights go out, they'll start racing. They'll go out now, and in pole position is Ben Simmons, Tim Davis alongside, both very, very quick drivers in Caterhams as they turn in to Abbey for the first time. And it looked like Colin Watson in the third of the Caterhams was trying to nibble up the inside of Tim Davis there at Abbey. As they go into Village now, it's still the pole position car that leads, but it is Tim Davis still in second place, but it's still pretty much side by side, Mark.
It is, yeah. The Boss Racing cars all at the sharp end of this one, so Tim Davis will be looking to see whether he can hang on to it, but with Colin Watson and Hugh Coulter, who are all in Boss Racing cars queuing up behind, it's going to be interesting, that inter-team rivalry that we always get with Boss Racing. But the Caterhams are largely going to be at the front. Did you see the BMW had started? So Rick Wood did rejoin there.
I wonder whether he's got a clutch problem and he didn't want to start at the front of the grid in case it stalled, and so he went through the pit lane and came out at the back. And a problem, and that looks like a puncture, doesn't it? For that will be
Darren Fielding, I think.
Yes, it's one of the lead. Yes, the number 8 BMW.
There was a bit of damage to the front right-hand side of the bumper on it, so I wonder if there's been a bit of early contact, and that's what pitched Darren Fielding's car with that puncture and caused that issue for him. So race continues in the meantime. Good thing is that Darren Fielding has pulled the car out of harm's way again. So far today, not wants to put the commentator's curse on it, we've largely gone effectively to programme. Problems there also for the Lotus that is needing shoving out of harm's way. That's Paul Patterson's Lotus XD Series 1, isn't it? That's also had issues on the first lap. So Marshall's going to work. Good thing is on the Silverstone Grand Prix circuit, it's a long lap. You get quite a lot of time as a Marshall to try and get the car out of harm's way.
That's right, and there's quite a few places that they can put the car safely by pushing it out of the way through a gap in the wall. Here we see Darren Fielding's car being marshalled backwards. In fact, I don't think it does have a puncture mark. I think that smoke was coming off that damaged splitter, wasn't it? Doesn't look like it's got a puncture on that front right. Car seems to be sitting... Anyway, it's behind the barriers now, so it's quite a lot of damage at the front there, isn't there?
Yeah, just on that front right-hand corner, isn't it? So driver's side. So here and over the start-finish line comes Ben Simmons leading the race, former champion in the MSVT Track Day Trophy, driving a Caterham at the time. He leads the race. He qualified 2.4 seconds quicker than anybody else. There's still bits of debris strewn themselves around the circuit as well. So Ben Simmons leads. Tim Davis in second place, but under pressure from Colin Watson, his teammate, who's there in third place. The two similarly liveried Boss Racing cars in terms of the day-glow flashes heading up towards where that debris is. Slap bang in the middle of the circuit as well, so it's bang on the racing line. So sure, the Marshals will hopefully let the field go, and if there's a gap, of course, they'll have to run out there and try and scoop it up, because if it sits in the middle of the track, we could end up with a safety car.
And the rest of this huge field, there's the number 62 BMW, huge field coming through the start-finish line and up towards Abbey once again, and a mixture of saloons and Caterhams. But the 62 BMW, if we can scroll down our screen, Mark, you've got the mouse there, we can see that he's made his way through to 40th place. 40th place, but another BMW in strife is the number 36 Mark Smith car. That's come into the pits early on.
That's the car that qualified fourth quickest and was the only car that was carrying a time penalty. So I'm not quite sure what the problem was with that car as to why he needed to come into the pit lane. Already, though, Ben Simmons is threading his way through traffic. The BMW 1 Series in the hands of Ben Hudson, staying neatly out of harm's way. I think that's another car that's probably got a few little issues, because that car is limping its way around the circuit. But again, good observation by the driver, knowing what was happening in his mirrors, getting the car out of harm's way. But what it has done is it's allowed a change for second and third place, because we've now got number 92 Colin Watson up into second place. Down to third goes Tim Davis, and as of the number 62 BMW, Alistair.
Oh dear. Another retirement by the looks of it for the Matty Evans Rick Wood car, which stopped at the bottom of the Wellington Straight on the approach to Brooklands, right in front of the BRDC grandstand. And that looks as though it's going no further, so that's not quite such an easy position to recover that car from for the Marshals. but hopefully they'll get that out of the way. But there'll be a yellow flag there, which means no overtaking in that section of the track as the rest of the field streams through. Here's the 124 Nissan, that's the Paul Durdle, Will Durdle Nissan 370Z making its way around. That started quite a long way back on the grid, so whether he can make some ground in this early stage of the race.
Yeah, we're talking about Datsun 240Zs earlier on. We're talking about Nissan 370s now. One of two we've got in the field as well, haven't we? Both of the cars coming from the old PlayStation Academy
yes.
setup that was. So they're built by Bob Neville's Team RJM setup, and nice to see them still out and racing in club racing. Car number 555, James Alford, had a raft of problems in qualifying, didn't he, at the wheel of the number 155 Golf, and had to start off the very back of the field, if you remember. Well, the back of the field in this race was 61st position. He's only completed 2 laps now, and now he's up into 41st position. He's overtaken 20 cars in the first 2 laps at the wheel of the Golf.
And the Durdles have gone up in that Nissan that we were just talking about. They've gone up 10 places on this first lap. There's the Natalie McGloin-driven Porsche being passed by one of the Caterhams, and also by the 555 Golf that you've just described as starting off the back of the grid, making its way up. That's the James Alford car. And coming down towards Brooklands, just kicking up that dust which is still there where we had that engine failure earlier on in the day. Most drivers keeping well out of the way of that, but the Golf now starting to lock horns with the Nissan 370Z coming into Brooklands.
It's going to be a good little fight, that, isn't it, with Natalie McGloin not that far away. Always good to see Natalie out driving. Drives with hand controls. She is not fully able-bodied. She is in a wheelchair, drives with hand controls, and a very vital member as well in terms of, she sits on FIA councils, doesn't she, in terms of disability within racing and females in racing as well. So she's a very, very well-respected individual and a very rapid racer as well. Good to see that Rick Wood's BMW, great work by the marshals again, being pushed out of harm's way. So double waved yellows down there at the bottom of the Wellington Straight whilst the marshals deal with that one. There's a little gap they can shove him into.
It's a bit like a BMW dealership car park down there, so that's exactly where the Mark Smith car retired as well, isn't it?
Darren Fielding, wasn't it? Yeah,
Mark,
Darren Fielding.
Darren Fielding. Mark Smith went into the pits. Yes,
used
right.
BMW dealer down there, absolutely. Yeah, they'll be putting the bunting up next and putting a porter cab in there. So race continuing. It's only about 2.5 minutes before the pit window opens, you know, so we've rattled through the first 10 minutes very, very quickly indeed. We've still got the inter-battles going on, so Caterham's fighting away with BMWs. For the lead of the race, though, Ben Simmons is now leading by 4.6 seconds from Colin Watson in second position. Now remember, there's no additional time penalties for any of these cars really now that are still circulating to worry about. They all just have to serve a 2-minute pit stop from pit in to pit out, and as long as they all comply with that, they should be all fine and dandy. Having a good look at what's going on at the moment for 17th and 18th place. The number 3 car of Jeremy Adams squeezing its way through and ahead there of Tim Woodman's car. So that's yellow Caterham now ahead of orange Caterham as they head down the Wellington Straight, but that was all done before the yellow flag zone.
And another of our Caterhams, Caterham battle coming along through Woodcote there, following the BMWs. Just to show the variety we've got in this race, and as you say, this is a great little battle going on for is that 4th and 5th places?
No, it'll be further down than that, the Caterhams. So that is going to be, I think, is it 11th position possibly? Let's have a quick look. It's the number 19 car, so that'll be even further down through the order.
Down,
yeah, so I have to scroll all the way down to work out where they are squabbling over. They are certainly outside of the top 20 places. The better fight is probably ahead of them on the road, actually. It's number 91, Hugh Gurney, and Colin Tester's car. The starting driver for that one was Hugh Gurney, under reasonably large pressure, actually, from Dave Griffin's BMW. But we've also still got this great fight going on for 2nd and 3rd place, with Colin Watson still just having enough daylight between himself and the number 80 car of Tim Davis, so as to not to worry, whilst our race leader, Ben Simmons, is now having to work his way through the traffic. So he's just picked off the next little bit of traffic that he needs to deal with. That was was the number 11 Caterham, I think, that he worked his way through and past. And here is that fight I was talking about. So Hugh Gurney under enormous pressure from Dave Griffin's BMW. Dave Griffin weaves one way, weaves the other, tries to put the slightly newer shape 1 Series through and ahead of the slightly older E46, but nothing doing now. But that's a great little fight that's going on for 6th and 7th places overall at this stage. And this is sort of an inter-race battle, because Hugh Gurney and Colin Tester run in the new Millennium Series. Dave Griffin in his BMW is an Open Series car. They are also fighting over the first non-Caterham in the field, aren't they?
Yes, that's right. Yeah, the first 2. Yes, because of course we lost Mark Smith early on, who was the fastest of the BMWs. So they're coming down into Brooklands. The leader, despite the fact he's been in the lead since the start, he's not getting away hugely from that great battle going on for 2nd place. Meantime, Dave Griffin tries to find a way past for 6th and 7th places, past Hugh Gurney.
I think I said it was a 1 Series, it's not, it's a newer 3 Series, isn't it, Dave Griffin's? And the Caterhams that were behind actually were inside the top 10. I've missed that. They're fighting for 8th and 9th, the Caterhams that we were looking at, but the race leaders will be heading up towards Stowe Corner now, so they are on lap number 5 at the moment. Ben Simmons has led every lap so far. The pit window is now open, so they can come in. But Ben Simmons, followed by Colin Watson and Tim Davis, all up the top 3 to stay out this time through. So it's still 14 from 92 from 80. The top 3 cars separated by about 3 seconds at the moment.
You thought Tim Davis might have chosen to come in then. He's not sharing with anyone, so it doesn't matter when he comes in as long as he's in the window. But perhaps he feels he's not being held up by Watson ahead, Colin Watson. But perhaps an opportunity there for him to get a bit of clear track. They come through Village.
I just think it's Boss Racing cars, 2nd, 3rd and 4th at the moment, isn't it? So it's Colin Watson, Tim Davis and then Hugh Coulter, who also races for Boss Racing. So that's 2nd, 3rd and 4th. Ben Simmons with the fastest lap of the race. That was a few laps ago now, 2 minutes 13.161, but there's a few little light bits of, not rain, but just moisture in the air now. It's been clouding up. The forecast was for it to get slightly greyer throughout the day. There's the possibility, only about 10% chance of rain, but there's just a few little bits of moisture in the air now. So Ben Simmons working his way through and past the traffic, and that looked like that was the number 39 Porsche, was it, that he worked his way through and past that time through, which was Rob Hardy, the man who supports the Classic Sports Car Cup through his sponsorship of the Verum Builders Open Series.
And the lead gap's come down a little. It may be a bit of traffic, and the leader, of course, naturally reaches the traffic first, so perhaps if they're not quite aware that they're coming through. But great battle for 2nd changes now, with Tim Davis taking 2nd place away from Colin Watson after quite a few laps. We're 5 laps in now, so at least 3 laps, if not 4 laps, with this being the other way around. I wonder if they're working together. The car ahead will always punch a big hole in the air, and the one behind has a slightly easier run. But they were closing down on the leader, and we've got a retirement there for the 56 Stephen Storey Ray Arms car. You mentioned Ray Arms as being a former British touring car driver. That's the Caterham with the motorcycle engine, the Blackbird engine. Finished in gold leaf colours, I noticed.
It
Very
was,
nice to see.
in gold leaf colours, yeah. Good, nice looking livery on that one. Ray always had a nice looking livery on his touring car as well. I remember the PG Tax sponsored car, the Honda Civic that he used to race, was always one of my favourites back in period. But yeah, that car is out of the race. Yeah, you're talking about Tim Davis and Colin Watson working together. It doesn't surprise me at the moment, because they have brought the gap down to the race leader, so the two of them are edging up on towards the coattails of Ben Simmons. It makes sense that if you're racing for the same team and you're pretty even in terms of pace, work together, work with each other, tow each other down the straight, and when one gets past, you just sit in the stow, you don't squabble, because at the moment Ben Simmons is having to do it all himself. But the top 3 have this lap all died for the pit lane, so Ben Simmons in the race lead is in, Tim Davis in 2nd place is into the pit lane, Colin Watson in 3rd place is into the pit lane, so it should now put Hugh Coulter up into the lead of the race if he opts to stay out at the wheel of the number 93 car. Paul Bolton is in at the wheel of one of the Nissans, Rob Hardy is in, and you can see right at the bottom of the pit lane the black and Dayglow car, and also Peter French is in as well, one of the committee members from the Classic Sports Car Club.
Nice shot on screen there of the pit stop for Peter French, and just chatting with his helper there. He's not changing drivers. In comes the 91 BMW. That will be Hugh Gurney bringing in the car to hand over to Colin Tester.
That's the car that had been doing battle, wasn't it, with Dave Griffin, who had managed to put the newer shape BMW ahead of that one there before the pit stop.
And Dave Griffin driving solo, so it'll be interesting to see how his times compare with the new driver in the Colin Tester in the other BMW. Robert
Forsdyke is in by the look of things. He's not the only Caterham that dives to the pit lane this time through, because there's another car just behind him that opts to come in as well. So, and out on circuit, that's a rotation, and that is that the number 3 car? It is, yeah, it is a number 3 car. I thought it was, couldn't see the number, but thought that would be a yellow car, and indeed, yeah, Jeremy Adams gets it pointing in the right direction, continues, but I would very much doubt he's inside the top 15, as he was before the spin.
He gets back on track again after that quick spin at the loop. And we saw that the second and third placed cars being released by the team, running for the same team, as you've mentioned, released by the team out onto the pit lane exit road, and naturally they would have been the same time distance apart, leaving the pits as when they came in, so that battle should be rejoined, and it should also be around a second or so behind the overall leader, Ben Simmons.
Yeah, because as we say, you know, everybody's on the same level playing field with this one. The only car that had a time penalty, we lost very early on into the race, Mark Smith, before the pit window opened. So in theory, everybody should be 2 minutes pit in to pit out as a minimum. Some might err on the side of caution a little bit more, and maybe just make sure that you're 2 minutes and 3 or 4 seconds. Others will try and cut it as neat and as finely as they can, and that's where it becomes difficult. Is that if you do it 1 second over, you're fine. If you do it 0.1 of a second under, you end up with a penalty heading in your general direction. Because the way it works, if you're not familiar, is that there's a beam that you break at pit lane entry, there's a beam that you break at pit lane exit. You have to do a 2 minute stop from pit in to pit out. Well, if you are less than 2 minutes, you've done one of two things. You've either not stopped for the right amount of time that you'd calculated you needed to, or you've sped in the pit lane. One or other, or possibly both you've done. But either way, a penalty will be going your way. That's the way that it works. So we've still got a good chunk of the front runners that haven't pitted as yet. Number 93, Hugh Coulter, picks up the lead of the race. The light green Caterham of Richard Carter is now second in the race. The Griffin-driven number 34 BMW, which is Dave Griffin, is now up to third in the race at this stage, and neither of those cars have as yet opted to dive for the pit lane. Fourth is Matt Spark, who did come in on that lap. Fifth is car number 19, who I think stayed out, so we'll take up fourth, which is going to be Philip Nagel, who we're looking at now. No, that's the number 59 car, similarly liveried to the 19. So what we've got here is Volkswagen Polo, which will be the Severs, fighting away with the number 59 car, which is Adrian Ferdinand's that lies ahead. But for Hugh Coulter, still staying out there in the lead of the race at the moment, the number 93 car.
The rumble of the Morgan going through there, the 174 car of Martin and Oliver Pratt. And always used to say up until a couple of years ago that Morgan was the largest British car manufacturer, because it was at the time, but sadly for some it's now passed into hands of, I think, Italian investors, but still based in Malvern in Worcestershire. It's still very traditional in its manufacturing methods, and still, as you can see if you've seen Morgans for the last 50 odd years, hasn't changed shape much either.
Hasn't changed shape much. Now, I mean, I suppose they have moved forward with some of the +4s and the +8s now in terms of bonded aluminium rather than wooden, as it used to be. Yeah. So yeah, but still building some of them with the old traditional methods as well.
Absolutely, and they still push them around
in the factories, yeah.
Building to building, yeah. Often seen them when I'm passing by. They're pushing these half-built cars between the units.
It's certainly worth a factory visit if you can get one.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Great half day out.
Now, this is the Etheridge BMW that is fighting away with the car that lies ahead of it. And I think that is for position. Yeah, the number 18 car has managed to squeeze through and has taken the place, actually. Into the pit lane comes Natalie McGloin. So plenty of time within the 2 minute pit stop to get Natalie out of the car. She will place herself into a wheelchair. and from there we will get the swapping over of the driver taking place. So that will be Andrew Bayliss that will jump on board. So Natalie just getting out of the car. As you say, she races with hand controls, doesn't have effective use of all of her limbs, and I think is just needing a little bit of help and assistance just to make sure the wheelchair is placed correctly. But she will get out, and Andrew Bayliss will jump in. But Natalie is a very, very quick and rapid driver, and so he's hugely well respected in motorsport. Has been racing. I don't think I've ever seen her race anything other than a Porsche over the years.
No, I don't remember anything else. No, that's right. It's she's been racing this year quite frequently in Porsches, and out in the Porsche in this race, and the driver change done successfully, and they'll come back out on track.
Back to those two BMWs that were squabbling away. Lights ablaze on both of them. This is Ashley Muldoon, who is now trying to get at least one car in between himself and the Chris Etheridge BMW that sits behind you.
I think we actually caught a shot there of the leading cars that were leading before the pit stops, which we expect to be back into the lead after the pit stops have all unwound. And it looks to me as though Tim Davis has pulled away from Colin Watson and is closing on Ben Simmons. Here we are now. Ben Simmons, then Tim Davis on the left-hand side of there, just lapping some cars. And then Colin Watson comes through a little bit further back. So that's something to bear in mind for the next few minutes as the pit stops unwind. Yeah,
we've still got some few cars that haven't pitted. Into the pit lane has come from the lead of the race, number 34 Hugh Coulter. The number 34 the number 93 car, Hugh Coulter, into the pit lane. The 34 car of Dave Griffin from second comes into the pit lane, and also number 89 that was running in third place, Bruce Wilson, also heads to the pit lane this time through. So we're slowly ticking off all of the pit stops. This great battle between the two Beamers still going on. Ashley Muldoon in the number 18 car with his lights ablaze. Right behind him is Chris Etheridge still. Neither of these cars have pitted either, so for Ashley Muldoon, he will remain behind the wheel of his E36, whereas the E46 that sits behind the red car with the black and the yellow flash down the side of it, Chris Etheridge will give way to Andrew Etheridge, and they are both diving into the pit lane on the same lap. So driver change taking place in one of those cars, but not the other, however, for part two of the race.
In the pits is the number 19 Caterham. We're watching their car we saw on track earlier on, Philip Nagel, in his R300 Caterham.
And into the pit lane comes the 59, the identically liveried car, which I mispicked out earlier on. That's Adrian Ferdinand's, isn't it?
Yeah, that was running a little bit higher up the order, wasn't it? That was in 8th place coming into the pit lane. So both cars in on the same lap, 17 and a quarter minutes remaining in the race. In comes...
that was going out Hugh Coulter, I think.
Hugh Coulter, yes, going out, of course, yes. So he's back on track, having come in from the lead.
So this is Ian Hare now, who should be on board the number 72 car. That's a car that's a little way down through the order. It's not one of the most powerful Caterhams that we have in the field. I'd say it's largely based on power output as to which class you drop into in Caterhams. And then what we will pick out is the individual leaders of the Goddard's Magnificent Sevens, the Verum Builders Open Series, and also the Liqui Moly New Millennium Series. Once we've cycled through all of the pit stops, we've still got a minute and a half of the pit window being open, and there are some cars that are sort of pushing it to the limit really as to how long they can stay out there, including Carl Nairn at the wheel of the number 15 at Caterham. He has not been into the pits as yet, and he is probably one of the very few cars now as we scroll through the order, if not the only car that's still circulating that hasn't been in. Up to 5th position, hasn't pitted yet though.
Yes, I'll need to get that done on this. We don't know where he is on the lap, but he needs to come in this time. He won't get round again. So quite important.
Yeah, light blue and black with some Dayglow yellow flashes to it is Carl Nairn's car. Well, there he is. Fantastic stuff by the camera crew. Oh, right, OK. And he's just gone back over the start-finish line and hasn't pitted. So he leads the race. The pit window closes in 50 seconds, and he started another lap, which takes nearly 2.5 minutes to complete. So if my reading of the regulations are right, Alistair, he'll be pitting outside of the window. I don't think he's got much choice now, has he?
Well, he waved at his pit crew as he went past to indicate, I'm coming in next time around, but I think that might not work with the stewards. They might say, no, you weren't there on time. You might have indicated you were coming in.
That's sort of closing the stable door after the horse has bolted, isn't it, really? Yeah.
So we might need to just wait to see. But in the standings in the race, Davis has actually taken the lead. Tim Davis has managed to get past Ben Simmons out of our sight, so we'll see that. We'll pick that up on the cameras shortly, but that has big implications for the overall winner of the race. And we're watching the current leader, which is 15 Carl Nairn in his Caterham, and he's making his way round, and we've got wipers on some of our cars. Those that have wipers, of course, a lot of the Caterhams don't have windscreens at all, but those that have got windscreens, interesting, Mark.
I spotted it a couple of corners ago on Andrew Rath's car. He had got the windscreen wiper on. He's the only one I've right, there we go. Also, yeah, Ashley Muldoon, he's got his on intermittent as well. So a couple of cars just sticking the wipers on now. So the conditions are just deteriorating a little bit as far as the drivers are concerned. It's always quite difficult though, because of course when you're doing 70, 80, 100 miles an hour, 120 miles an hour, you can see how grey the skies look. The windscreen gets a lot wetter when you're travelling at that kind of speed than if you're stationary, so it actually makes you perceive as though there's more rain falling than there is. But depending on how wet it is out there, they're going to start to feel it a little bit now. Temperature will drop a little bit, that will lose a little bit of grip, and it might just be getting greasy slightly.
Yes, I would imagine the surface is warm enough from the sunshine we've had during the day, perhaps to just burn off any light shower, but anything more than that. As we watch what's now second place, number 14, Ben Simmons. There's our third placed car, net of the pit stops, Colin Watson.
And Carl Nairn is in, right, so just to confirm, Carl Nairn has come into the pit lane, so it will be number 80, Tim Davis, that will pick up the lead of the race once Carl Nairn has completed his pit stop. But he came in, yeah, with, what, 13 and a bit minutes to go, so I think there might be a penalty heading in his direction. They might leave it till after the race and adjust the results potentially, but yeah, number 80, Tim Davis, goes through shot. He picks up the lead of the race. There is number 14, Ben Simmons, in second place, and number 92, the white and Dayglow car heading towards us, Colin Watson, will now be in third position in this race. So that's the car that's there in third place, just working its way round and through Farm Curve and into the braking area for the loop. A few cars that he needs to try and thread his way through and by if he wants to get back up onto terms with the cars that he had been doing battle with. So he sneaks through and past one of them, which is going to be Alex Harbour's car. Does that on the run out of the loop and up towards Aintree Corner. So here comes our race leader. The black and Dayglow car leads the race. And then we wait for the white car, already having gone through shot, Ben Simmons. So the gap first to second is only about 2.5 seconds, something like that. And they're amongst the traffic at this stage, Alistair. So yeah, it's not all done and dusted yet for Tim Davis.
Definitely not, no. It's very easy to get caught out with a misunderstanding, perhaps from the driver you're lapping, moving to the wrong side of the track that you slow. And so much of the Silverstone circuit is flat out for these cars that if they lose momentum, it takes them a long time to build that back up again as they go through Copse Corner, up over the rise. Great shot there as they got over the hill into Maggots Curve and then into Beckett's. First place car, the orange and black. The second place car, the all white of Ben Simmons. Out through Chapel Curve onto the Hanger Straight. Some more traffic to deal with ahead. Still 11 3/4 minutes remaining, so plenty of time for Ben Simmons to close the gap down on the current leader, Tim Davis, into Stowe Corner, as we see car number 173, which is Matt Spark in his Caterham. Looks like he's pulling off to retire.
Yeah, sensible driving.
At Abbey.
Sensible driving by Matt, gets out of harm's way. In terms of the 3 races within one, well, of course, Tim Davis leads the race overall. There he goes now, and he is leading the Goldart's Magnificent Sevens section of the race. Magnificent Sevens is for any Lotus 7 inspired cars. It doesn't just have to be a Caterham. Leading the charge in the Verum Builders Open Series is car number 34, the BMW of Dave Griffin, in 7th position. But right on his tailpipes is the car that leads New Millennium at the moment, which is now the number 91 BMW that was in the hands of Hugh Gurney. Remember, they were fighting with Dave Griffin earlier on, but now it's Colin Tester that has taken over that car, and they are busy squabbling away. A slippery surface flag being displayed as well on the start-finish line, suggesting that something might have happened. And more cars now running around with windscreen wipers on. So I think conditions, without question, are now deteriorating.
Yes, that could be an indication that the marshals are aware that one side of the circuit is wetter than the other, and they're just giving them a warning that this part of the track is a little bit wetter than you might be expecting. And it's very common at Silverstone. Usually the rain does come in through Club Corner first with the prevailing wind, so that might be the case as we look at the Caterhams making their way up the international pit straight. Still leading is Tim Davis from Ben Simmons, from in 3rd place Colin Watson, who haven't been separated by much for the whole of the race, although the two leaders have started to ease away now, about 8 seconds gap over Colin Watson.
Yeah, so we're into the final 10 minutes of the race, and as we look at what is Paul Bolton's Nissan 370Z with its windscreen wipers on, you can just see that wiggle mid-corner there as well as he went through Abbey. There was just a little bit of steering input put in to correct the car as it just started to drift around. It certainly looks very grey, doesn't it, now at that part of the circuit. It was beautiful blue sunshine when I arrived at Silverstone this morning, but yeah, it certainly has got worse, the conditions. I don't think necessarily the conditions are consistent all the way around the circuit. I agree with you, Alistair. I think some parts worse than others, but it is blowing in. I think without question now that looks wetter there, doesn't it, or greyer there, or mistier there, heading up in towards Brooklands, and it is now raining, I think, all the way around the circuit. So final 8 minutes or so could be very, very interesting indeed. Cars are all running on a treaded tyre. They can't run on slick tyres in this series, but they would have set them up for dry conditions. The tyres have worked hard, and they might not be in their first race that they've done. So yeah, I think traction and grip is going to be at a premium for these next few laps.
Yes, and we've also got the confidence and the skills of the driver in the wet as well, if we do get a wet track, because some drivers are more comfortable driving in the rain than others, and might just be able to close gaps. At the moment, the lead gap is just over 2.5 seconds, which is about as much as it's been the whole race. It's been a very close race indeed. Tim Davis ahead at the moment from Ben Simmons, then Colin Watson, and on the screen we've got Carl Nairn, but we know we've questioned whether there'll be a penalty being given out to Carl Nairn.
Yeah, I suspect there will be, but I think it will be post-race, so we will give you the results as they cross the line. It might not necessarily be the final official results, so we'll have to wait and see as to whether is there some correction for that later on over the course of this afternoon. So heading up towards Copse Corner goes the number 20 car, the orange car. We saw that involved in a good little fight earlier on, didn't we, when it was busy squabbling away. It's dropped its way down through the order. The race leader, Tim Davis, well and truly amongst the traffic at the moment, so I think the gap first to second is going to come out next time through, because Ben Simmons is bottled up behind the traffic, whereas there, our race leader, you can see the black car with its day glow flashes. Tim Davis has still got a bit of clear tarmac ahead of him. So through Beckett's they come. In the background, Ben Simmons has now got past the 2 cars that he was needing to get past after Copse Corner, so he's now got clear track as well as they head along the Hanger Straight. So this is lap number 13 that they have completed already. They're on lap number 14 as they head up towards Stowe Corner. And Tim Davis, yeah, still 3 further cars to try and deal with. So it will be Ian Hare, the number 72 car, is the next that he will want to try and squeeze his way past, which he'll do on the exit of Stowe Corner. Will just, I think, pick off the 1 car on the run in towards the Vale. He'll have to wait until the exit of the Vale and Club to pick the rest off.
This could give an advantage to Ben Simmons, because he might get past all these cars on the international pit straight. But as you can see, our leader, number 80, Tim Davis, is really bottled up. In fact, he goes to the right to pass that 1 slower car. Right, the checkered flag has gone out.
Yeah, it's come out, I think, a few laps early because of the deteriorating conditions, or maybe they've got an issue. So checkered flag, yeah, shown 7 minutes early, which caught us out, I'm afraid. Weren't expecting that, but it does look as though it isn't really going to affect the results as such, really. It maybe eludes Ben Simmons the opportunity to try and close up, but if weather is closing in and cars are struggling and the light level's dropping and we're getting to autumn, Alistair, and we're pushed for time on the programme, yeah, maybe sensible decision. Yeah. So Tim Davis then will be the winner. Ben Simmons has already come through in second place, Colin Watson in third. There's a little bit of jinking out towards the checkered flag there, as I think Robert Forsyth probably eased off the throttle more than others were expecting. Still awaiting the fourth place car to come over the start-finish line. It will be, on road at least, Carl Nairn, number 15, that will finish in fourth place. Here he comes now over the start-finish line, but we'll have to wait and see as to whether that will stand on any adjusted results. In fact, no, that's the number 9. No, it was Carl Nairn that just came through. Fifth place will be Richard Carter. Should be a light green Caterham that will come through. Here he comes now, bang on cue in fifth position. Then Hugh Coulter will come through in sixth place. And then we should see the first non-Magnificent 7 car home in seventh place. That will be the winner of the Open Series aspect of the race, and that will be the newer shape E90 BMW M3 of Dave Griffin that will come through and finish in 7th position. He is still threading his way around through the circuit at the moment, but he will be the leading Verum Builders Open Series car home. 8th place should be, here comes Dave Griffin now over the start-finish line, so he's confirmed as the Verum Builders Open Series winner. And then the next car should be Colin Tester, who's taken over from Hugh Gurney. That will be the car that wins the new Millennium aspect of the race in 9th position. And Richard and Pascal Green in their Caterham will complete the top 10, another father and son pairing that we have. So that wraps up our penultimate race of the day here at Silverstone, the Gold Arts Magnificent Sevens, combined with the Verum Builders Open Series and the Liqui Moly New Millennium. And what was another fantastic squabble. So let's confirm the results with you then as the cars head around on their slowing down up and back into the paddock. Tim Davis claims the win from Ben Simmons in second place and Colin Watson in third. It was Carl Nairn who finished fourth on the road, but we'll wait and see whether he did pit outside of the pit stop window and whether a penalty will apply. But Richard Carter finished fifth on the road and Hugh Coulter was sixth. Dave Griffin was the first non-Caterham car home, so he won the Open Series in seventh place, with Hugh Gurney and Colin Tester winning the new Millennium section of the race there in 8th place. 9th place went the way of the number 65 BMW of Gardner and Mills, with Pascal Green and Richard Green, the father and son pairing, completing the top 10. In 11th place was Phil Nibb. In 11th place was car number 90, Phil Nibb. 12th place went the way of Philip Nagel. Bruce Wilson was there in 13th, with Dylan Popovich in 14th place, and the Pratts there in 15th place. Carl Woodwis in 16th place. 17th place, in fact, Carl Wood was just promoted to 15th place. 16th place became the Pratts in the end. No doubt some sort of time penalty applied to them in the end. Tim Woodman finished in 17th place. 18th place went the way of Jeremy Adams. 19th place was Dave Harvey. And Andrew Rath in the Lotus completed the top 10, so top 20 rather. So that gives you the top 20. You can see all the rest of the results flashing our way through the screen in what has been another thoroughly enjoyable race, Alistair, and probably not quite as enjoyable for the drivers with those changeable conditions towards the end.
Yeah, it's tricky conditions. We can't really tell off the screen how wet it is out there, but clearly it was worsening, and great to see the Caterhams racing. Always good racing with Caterhams, and then separately the two other races taking part behind produced some excellent on-track battles, and a shame we lost a couple of cars we were expecting to be somewhere near the sharp end, but that's the way it goes. And the rest of the results scrolling through on your screen now, and cars all making their way back into the pit lane.
Yeah, fantastic, imposing structure, isn't it? The wing when it was built, and it's nice that we're able to utilise the Grand Prix circuit and the Grand Prix wing. Yes, our paddock-wise, from the amount of entries we've got today, it's a little bit tighter than using the heritage pits, but it's always nice to use the wing building, and it's still a fantastic-looking structure. So as cars head down there into the pit lane area at the end of their race, it's time to hand you down to Kieran McGinley, who's catching up with a driver or two.
Yes, I'm here with a race winner of the Gold Arts Magnificent Sevens here, and it's number 80, Caterham Boss Racing. It is Tim Davis. Tim, well, sum up that win, because the weather was deteriorating towards the end there. That's probably an understatement.
Yeah, I was doing a rain dance. I love it in the wet. I thought I'm just going to carry on, keep the heat in the tyres. But unfortunately, Ben, I don't know why he went off. I mean, I was catching him, but I wasn't really that close. All of a sudden, he just went straight on. I went touch, and that was it. Got my head down and just drove the socks off it to the end, knowing he was going to come back at me. But well, last race of the season, and we won it. Brilliant. Boss boys are fantastic. That car is a demon. Brilliant car. Really good.
And the rain was starting to come down at the end there. I mean, just describe to us what the conditions are like out there now.
It wasn't too bad, to be fair. It was a little bit damp in places, a little bit worse in different parts of the circuit. You have to try and remember where it was wet and where it wasn't. But these things handle so well, even if you're in a complete slide, it's coming back at some point. It's brilliant. The track's fantastic. Being in the wing as well. And I can't praise Boss enough. It's been brilliant. What a great season. Really good.
Well, fantastic. Well, we'll leave you and let you go now to enjoy your win. But that's Tim Davis, your winner of the Gold Art Magnificent Sevens. What's the sign there, Coleman? We'll have a chat to our number 34, which is the Verum Builders Open Series winner, Dave Griffin. Hopefully we can have a chat with Dave there, as the rain has started to come down a little bit more now. Water droplets on the car there. We've also got as well our third winner in the race, Colin Tester in that BMW M3, the JK Motorsport car there. So no doubt we'll have a chat to him as well. Let's see if we can try and barge in and interrupt the moment here to have a chat with Dave Griffin at some point. See, we'll get the helmet off. Yeah, I'm intruding, I'm interrupting, I know. Well, we have our race winner here for the Verum Builders Open Series, the number 34 BMW M3 of Dave Griffin. Dave, sum that one up for us.
Well, it was awesome. It's one of the first times I've been able to drive this car for that long at a time, and so we got into a really nice rhythm, and I could race with the guys around me, and when the rain came, it kind of felt like we had nice balance. So no, it was great. The West Suffolk Racing blokes have done a fantastic job building this thing. It's a real weapon.
And obviously, very changeable conditions, different from the start than it was when the checkered flag fell. Just talk to us about how those conditions are changing out there.
Yeah, well, it was actually different in different parts of the track. So you were kind of trying to work out whether it was raining as you were coming up to corners. A bit of oil out there as well made it a bit interesting. But I think if you can just be on the inside of the track enough, you get a chance to catch it with a car like this. So it's you can still push on.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Tim was talking to us about the Superlight Caterer, and what's it like in a BMW to be lumbering around in the tricky conditions?
Yeah, it's got a lot of grip. I was saying to Derek before we went out that you can actually lose it, and it's got enough grip that you can catch it again. So you can really have a crack in some of these big wide corners at Silverstone, and I feel like you might catch it before you hit a fence.
Well, that's preferable, I think, that's for sure. Dave, thank you so much for talking to us. Congratulations on your race win, the Verum Builders Open Series winner. Congratulations.
Thank you, cheers.
And we'll have a see if we can have a chat to our Liqui Moly new Millennium race winner there. It's the number 91 at the hands of Colin Tester, I believe. Colin, congratulations on the victory. How was that for you out there?
Yeah, it was really good. Yeah, it started getting a bit slippery at the end, but yeah, I came out second. Hugh Gurney, the owner, was out first. He did a really good job, actually. So full credit to him for his first stint. Yeah, I went out, I was straight on the pace, the car felt great, and had a couple of little battles with this one, but I knew he was in the higher class, so maybe had a little bit more power, etc. But yeah, it's a great race. Really enjoyed this circuit. It's brilliant.
And I might as well complete the hat-trick. What's it like out there with the changeable conditions out there, especially in a BMW versus a Caterham as well? It must be slightly different in that.
Yeah, I mean, when the rain started coming down light, I mean, these tyres we're on, they actually work quite well in the wet, so, you know, we were thankful for that. But yeah, there was a couple of sections where it affected us more than others. You know, there was a couple of sections still that you were almost still up to full speed. But obviously with the saloon cars being heavier, they're not so badly affected by the wet. I think the Caterham's probably a little bit sketchy, I would imagine, especially with the amount of power some of those front runners have got.
Well, congratulations, Colin. We'll leave you to your race victory, our Liqui Moly new Millennium race winner. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
And with that, it's back to the commentary box.